Hey team, I've just been doing some videos with Jess and I've noticed something with her. So we're doing a Cossack squat demonstration and I'm watching her hips and they're not looking too flash the way that they're operating. So a bit of history with Jess is she suffers a lot with lower back pain and there's certain movements that just get her back fired up so hard. So firstly, let's just have a look at what I noticed straight away when she started to do a Cossack. So she set up into a position. And as soon as she went to break to go towards the direction that she wanted, you can see her hip literally dropped down completely to the ground. So even if she took her hands off her hips, right? So come back up. So this is a stable hip position and she breaks, she goes to go down and this one drops below the other. So that says to me that her glute medius isn't firing. So your glute medius, you hear about this muscle all the time. But it's actually a little muscle in here and it connects to the greater trochanter here and the iliac crest. And it actually fires by pulling the iliac crest down, which in turn lifts the hips up, right? So I'm seeing that as soon as she goes to step, it switches off. Now, Jess also gets a really shit time with running. She gets really bad back pain and all sorts of hip and ankle stuff. So stand up. Now, if you can imagine, every time you're running, your gait, if you don't have good glute medius control, every time you pick up your leg, your hip's going to drop because the glutes aren't going to work. So you're constantly having your hips drop. Rather than keeping a nice stable core where you pick up the leg and the hips stay in the same position, like when if she goes to pick up a leg, let's see what happens. Just take your hands off, pick up your leg like normal, and again. It's not too bad actually like this. But you definitely go that one again. You definitely rock a lot. Like you can see that when she goes to pick up her legs, instead of her, like my hips stay completely stable, right? When I pick up my legs, as soon as Jess picks up her legs, she rocks her hips, okay? You can see they're rocking from side to side because it's the only way that she can balance. She's putting all her weight onto whichever leg's on the ground and it's closing down that glute medius, but that's because the glute medius isn't strong enough for her to maintain the stable. So try and pick up one leg without dropping your hips. Keep your hips stable. Just pick up the leg in front of you. Oh, right. How hard is that?
That is so hard.
Do that again. See, your hips come up, drop this hip down. So pick up one leg. Good. Now do you feel this glute medius firing when you do that? Yeah. So she's gamed it. She's gamed it by tilting her hips, which is taking the stress or the strength away from the glute medius because she's tilted, she's put all her weight on one side, it means the glute medius isn't having to work as hard. If she was to keep her hips level, pick up the leg, that glute medius has got to fire nice and hard because it's got the most weight from this leg on it when it keeps the hips stable. So, why does it blow up her back? Well, your back's made up of a shit ton of vertebrae. And what happens is whenever your hips are tilting back and forth aggressively or side to side, your back starts to think, shit, I'm being thrashed here, I'm being overloaded because I'm being asked to protect the lower back. The hips aren't doing their job, they're not staying nice and stable, so the lower back is copying the load. So it locks down and gives her a mad lumbar pump, okay? So there's two ways to approach this. One, strengthen the glute medius, but that doesn't always work. You actually need to learn to activate and use the glute medius in the right position. So if Jess was my client, which she has been from time to time before, I'd actually incorporate stability movements with her. So first of all, even just standing on the spot, holding her hips level, picking up a leg and maintaining that position for a period of time will start to get that glute medius to activate, okay? So she could hold that position. She could do like 4 or 5 sets of 10 to 15 seconds and drop and build that up over time. So there's one option. Just lie on your side and do a side lying hip abduction. Let's see if you're still in the video.
I can see myself.
Another one for activation is a side lying hip abduction. The problem with these is a lot of people don't actually do these correctly. So just lie on you. Yeah, cool. So I want you to pick up your leg how you do a side lying hip abduction. Okay, so first of all, nobody's got that much range of motion that way, okay? So what we do is we actually end up rotating that leg back slightly and then using like our hip flexors to pick up the leg. So what I'll ask her to do is turn this toe down keeping her hips level, I want you to try and push up with your heel slightly, and I want you to feel the burn in the abductor. So come up slightly and back down again. Okay, did you feel that? Yeah. So that's different to what you did the first time, right?
Yeah, that's
so she's feeling like this adductor is firing hard because she's got a good position. As soon as you try and game it, turn the foot out and pick up the leg, she can get that all the way up to the roof. She's tilted the hips back, but this one she's tilted the hips forward, dropped the toe forward, and she's just focusing, like really trying to get that mind-muscle connection with the glute medius, so that that's probably the most painful that's ever been, right, for a hip abduction. Okay, so this is another way to getting the hip abductor to fire. And the last one is like an isometric wall hold. It's going to be hard for you guys to see in the camera there, but what we're going to do is Jess is actually going to go into an isometric wall hold. So how do I do these? I've got to remember. Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. So had to remember that. So what we're doing is we're asking her to go into a partial squat, keeping her legs level, and she's pushing against the wall with the other knee, okay? So what this is going to do is it's going to teach the hips to be stable in an isometric position when she's lowering down under tension. What she doesn't want to do is have the hips too high or too low, and excuse my French, but that burns really quickly. So let's see if we can set her up. So just send your hips back slightly. Good. And you're just going to pull this knee up, and you're going to push your knee against the wall nice and hard. Okay? Take this hand off the wall. Good. So do you feel this through here?
Like right.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. So her main focus is to hold this position in an isometric hold, keeping the hips level. She can hold this. You can relax.
Oh.
She can hold this for like 10 to 15 seconds for 4 to 5 sets. These things where we're picking up the leg, maintaining stable hips, the wall holds, even side-lying adductor strengthening, and just being aware that your hips do this. Whenever you lunge, if you're the sort of person that tilts their hips in all sorts of weird directions, remember, the hips want to be stable. The back wants you to be stable all the time. So thinking about what your hips are doing, getting that mind-muscle connection, strengthening the abductors.
No more back pain.
No more back pain.